Are you looking for a shade tree? Are you looking for a fruit tree? How about a tree that's gonna give you both? Fast growing and tons of shade, eventually. Well, today I'm gonna be telling you everything you need to know in order to successfully grow your own Java Plum, also known as Jamun. This tree is super easy to grow, a tropical tree that will grow in the desert. It will take frost, it will take sun. This tree is the one to get. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so if you never heard of Jamun or Java Plum, well, today I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about this tree. So let's go ahead and get started. Where is the tree native to? Well, this tree is actually native to India. And it's an actual tropical tree. And like I said earlier, it's super easy to grow, fast growing, it will give you tons of shade, and at the same time, it will give you fruit. If you're going to water something, may as well get something out of it, right? I get a lot of people that come to the nursery looking for shade trees. I'm like, why? Why do you want shade? How about get some shade and fruit at the same time? Well, Jamun, this tree behind me, it's gonna give you both. Super easy to grow, and like I said, it's a tropical tree, and the best thing about it is that it really doesn't require any protection in the wintertime once the tree is fully rooted in the ground. So where does the name come from? Java Plum, Jamun. Well, I'm not sure, to be honest, where the Java comes from, but the plum, the fruits, if you look on the screen, they look like little plums. The skin looks just the same. On the inside, they're gonna be like a grape. That's exactly what the texture tastes like. But they're actually sweet and astringent. If you're not familiar with something that's astringent, I don't know, have you ever had something that you ate in the past and it made your mouth dry? Yeah, that's exactly what this fruit's gonna do for you. It's sweet, but it will make your mouth dry. It's weird like that. It's really good, and like I said, tons of shade. Now, Jamun, I'm not sure, maybe one of you guys can tell me where Jamun name comes from. Just comment below if you're from the area where this tree is native to, and I will really love to know where the name comes from. Well, anyways, now that you know a little bit more about Jamun, let's talk about the growing conditions for this tree. Sun requirements. This tree will take full sun anywhere in the United States. Yes, full blasting sun all day. Will it grow in the shade? In the containers, yes, it will grow in the shade, but they tend to get leggy. So if you want the full potential out of this tree, you want full sun all day. Winter care. This tree is only frost sensitive when in containers or when going through the first winter in the ground. So if your tree is going through its first winter, you need to frost protect it. The winter, the frost will not kill it, I promise you. This tree has taken frost. This tree has taken 19-degree ambient temperatures, and it's still alive. Super easy to take care of. And unlike most other trees out there, once this tree actually roots itself in the ground, which takes about a year, it will actually become a lot stronger. That is not true for most trees out there. Let's talk about the tree structure. How tall is this tree gonna get? It depends on your area. If you live in a tropical area, easily you can get a 40-50 footer. But if you're in a non-tropical area like I am here in the desert or anywhere else, you most likely, I would say, between 25 to 50 feet, fully grown, like in 10-15 years. So it's gonna take a little while to get to that full size. But generally, I mean, just this tree right here in front of me, this is only 2 years old. And as you can see, I mean, I would estimate this tree to be about 15 feet in 2 years time, guys. This is fast growing. Now, this is the bush naturally, as you can see. But if you want a single trunk, all you gotta do is just prune the bottom branches. That's what we're gonna do just in the next few weeks. We're gonna be pruning the bottom branches, and then we're gonna be growing cuttings out of them. I'll make another video on how to propagate your own Jamun, Java Plum from cuttings once I do that. So the root system of this plant is going to be a taproot. Let me see if I can get this plant out of the container so I can show you exactly, guys, what the roots look like. This is the best way to actually see something. So here's the root system of this plant, and it's not as pronounced as other plants, but you can see most of the roots are actually on the bottom. And then you see that thicker root right there, that's gonna be your taproot right there. And that will grow straight down in the ground, and then the older the tree gets, the deeper the root system is gonna go in the ground. Is it safe to plant close to structures? Well, remember the tree is gonna get big. So you gotta make sure that you have enough space for the trunk. Is the root system gonna be uplifting your sidewalk, your house, or anything else? Unless you're in a tropical environment, I highly doubt it. I would say, just to be safe, give this tree at least, 10 to 15 feet away from your house or anything else, so that way you have enough space for the canopy to grow. Now if you just worry about the trunk, you know, uplifting anything, just for the trunk alone, I will give it at least 5 to 6 feet. The canopy, remember, it's gonna get big, so even 15 feet may not be big enough. At that point, you may have to prune the branches if you wanted to put this tree closer to like a fence or your house. Let's talk about pollination. This tree is self-pollinating. You only need one tree to get fruits. Very easy to grow, fast growing, and since it gets so big, it's a good thing that you only need one. All right, guys, let's talk about flowering and fruiting. How long does it take for Jamun to actually flower and fruit? Well, this plant, the ones we have here, they're grown from seed. So from seed, it's gonna take, personally, what I've seen here in my area, I actually have a customer that I know, he grew his from seed and his started flowering about 5 years. So I would say it takes about average 5 years before you start getting fruits. But what I read online is that this plant can easily take even longer to actually flower and fruit. So it just depends on the plant specifically. So from me, you're getting at least 5 years. It's gonna take a long time. But during that time, this tree is gonna give you tons of shade. It's gonna grow super fast. So the fruits are an actual bonus. Watering. If you're planting this in a container, as always, if you've been watching my videos before, or if this is your first time, this is exactly how we water our container plants. What you do is you follow the 50% rule. You wet the container and then you check every 6 hours or so. And then as soon as the container is dry about 50%, however long it took to go from wet to 50% dry, that is exactly how often you water these plants in containers. Super easy to do, and that 50% method will work on most of your plants in containers. That's exactly what we do here in the nursery, and we have thousands of plants and all of them are growing just fine. Just to give you an idea, this plant right here, my daily temperatures are about 70-80 degrees and they are drying once a day, 50%. In the summer months, that can happen up to 3 times a day. Just to give you an idea how often you're gonna have to water in containers. Now let's say your plant is in the ground. It's first year in the ground. How are you gonna water it? Well, we call it the finger method, which the technique is very similar to the 50% rule. But in this case, what you are actually gonna do is you're gonna wet the soil like you did earlier, and I would say every 12 hours, you're gonna go out there and then you're gonna stick your finger in the soil all the way down. And you're gonna do that every 12 hours. When you first get your tree. And then the minute you no longer feel moisture on the tip of your finger, however long it took to go from wet to not feeling any moisture on the tip of your finger, that's exactly how often you water your tree the first summer in the ground. That is called the finger method, and that technique will work on most of your trees the first year in the ground. Now remember, this tree has a taproot system. So as the tree gets older, the taproot will grow straight down in the ground. Normally, this tree takes 1 full year to root itself in the ground. So after the first year, I'm talking about year number 2, you need to deep water. Now deep water, it's hard to tell. I can tell you it's gonna be a few hours because you wanna soak the ground several feet every time you water, but then you don't have to water that often because it takes a lot longer for the soil to dry just as much. If you want to learn more about deep watering, you can check the video links in the description below to learn more about it. Fertilization. So how do you fertilize your Jamun Java plum tree? If your tree is in a container, it's extremely easy to do. All we do is use a slow release fertilizer like you see on the screen right now. And then I would say, to be honest, once a year. We don't do any more than that. We just put the pellets in the containers. You can see I got some pellets in there right now. And every time you water, the fertilizer will get released into the potting mix slowly over the next few months. And the more you water, the faster it's gonna get released into the soil. And that's it. It's that simple in containers. Super easy to do. Do not worry about the numbers. The fertilizer that I use is nothing special. It's just very easy to get anywhere in the United States, and it works. The main thing about it is that it's slow release, so it's extremely hard to overdo it. I have never overdone it, over fertilize a plant. If your tree is in the ground like this one right here, you really don't need to do anything. But if you really want to put something in there, any organic material will work. You can put compost in there, cow poop, horse poop, whatever poop, it doesn't really matter. As soon as you start watering the area, even if you don't do anything else, the life will come to the soil, and that life itself is what's actually going to be feeding your plant. So once the plant's in the ground, it's like maintenance free. Do not even worry about it. Container growing. Can you grow Jamun, Java plant in a container and actually have tons of fruits? The answer is no. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you know, in my channel, I'm just gonna tell you the truth. This plant will grow in the container temporarily, but because of its root system, they grow way too fast, and there's no container size out there that will be able to hold this plant. And remember, the roots go down, they don't go sideways. So most of you who outpot your plants, they always go wider. That only works on plants that have fibrous root systems, not on tap roots. So if you want to keep your plant in a container, yes, you can grow in a container temporarily. How long? I mean, these plants you see in front of me, they're about a year old. I can put them easily in 15 gallons and get another 2-3 years out of them. But these plants grow fast, okay? But the problem with them is, besides growing fast, you're not gonna get fruits in containers. This plant requires to be full size, 100% in the ground with a full root system before it will actually start flowering. So you can grow in a container temporarily, but not indefinitely, and especially if you want fruits, I do not recommend it. And that brings us to my personal growing tips, growing Jamun or Java Plum. If you're growing a tree, remember, give it enough space to grow, because they may look small right now, like this little guys right here. Let me show you. You see this right here? This is how big my Jamun was in the ground, and in 2 years it went from this big to 15 feet tall. So anytime you plant anything in the ground, always look into the future. Your plants are not gonna stay small, just like you did not stay small when you were a baby. Now you're big, right? So same thing for plants. So when you put it in the ground, always think about the future and give it enough space to grow. Another thing is, once you put this plant in the ground, it will take easily a little over a year to fully root itself in the ground. But then the second year, it's gonna grow huge. Now let's say you put your plant in the ground and it's been a year and a half, 2 years, and your plant's not growing. Well, guess what? If something happens during the rooting process, like you forgot to water, your plant wilted, somebody stepped on it, something ate it, anything happened to the plant, now instead of taking a year to root itself in the ground, it may take 2 years. That is your fault, that is not the plant's fault. So keep that in mind if your plant's not growing after being in the ground for over a year. Anyways, guys, that's it. Fortunately, if you guys would like to purchase this plant, we actually have small plants for sale on our website. Link in the description below. You can order it online and we'll ship it to you. We're actually certified to ship anywhere in the United States. So you can get your own plant from me, and you know for sure that my plants will grow as long as you water. They're nothing special. I don't promote saying my plants are better than anybody else's, because that is not true. But I do take care of my plants, and you will get a healthy plant just like this if you order it from me. If you have any questions, as always, comment below, and I will try my best to answer them. If you like the video, don't forget to like it, because when you like it, it tells me you like these kinds of videos, and also YouTube will see it as well and recommend it to other people, so more people can see what true gardening is about. Anyways, guys, I will see you next time.